Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Beyond Max Q. I'm Mollie Jahner, your host, and I am joined today by a very special friend, Nancy Kay. She's the managing partner for FinanceRx Venture Studio. I am excited to have her here. She's just a delightful person, and she is a connector. She loves helping people build their businesses, and she is a wealth of expertise. So I'm very excited to have her here today because she's been on both sides of the table. She's built the table. She's a funder and a founder. So with that, Nancy, please, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself and telling us about all the very cool things you're doing.
Awesome. Thanks, Molly. It's so great to be with you. And the feelings are mutual. So what am I really doing? I have been really in consumer patient lending really for the last, oh goodness, 25 years of my career. And really, it started with a patient in the hospital about 10 years even before that, that was making some really tough decisions in life. And it was about he had cancer and he had a wife and a 14-year-old daughter, and they were trying to make the life decision. Should he have care or should he not? And when I mean care, it was surgery. He didn't want to leave his wife with an outstanding bill. And obviously his daughter, because she would be taking care of her. And that rocked me to my core. I ended up in consumer lending, actually a handful of years later from that, really. But that was really the infancy of why I started doing what I do, because there's so many patients and so many consumers in market that they need care, but they can't get it. And 90% of the time it's due to affordability. We're not financing swimming pools and, all kinds of other ancillary items, which is nothing wrong with that. It's just that my mission and my calling was really to critical needs lending when finance is absolutely necessary for a funeral or if the water heater goes out. I mean, these are things that are absolutely paramount that you have to take care of in that nick of time. I was blessed to be the founder of a company called Healthcare Finance Direct, which became the nation's leading in-house patient finance company. That was back in the market crash of 2008. That company continues to thrive today. I'm also involved with Kina Global. Kina is a venture firm, faith-based venture firm, and I mentor several women around the world within the confines of a group called Her Kingdom Ventures. And Her Kingdom Ventures was really designed to help women reach the world in their calling of uh, their entrepreneurial skill set, if you will. Again, that entrepreneurial calling. Um, uh, those that are faith-based, those that want to start businesses, those that have started businesses, women that invest in faith-based businesses, and women who are married to an entrepreneur, because that's a tough job sometimes. So yeah, so those are really the things that I really focus on.
I love it. Well, and I think, oh gosh, I could ask you so many questions. I'm going to start with the founder piece. Um, what, as you're building out this business, what are some of the challenges you're encountering and how are you solving for those?
Yeah, so this business is unique because I think I'm the only one who's ever dared to do what I'm doing, which is educate providers and merchants, really healthcare providers, and big medical enterprises of how to offer lending appropriately at the point of care. The challenge is that in recent months, even, there's been a lot of regulatory scrutiny around how loans are offered to consumers. And I understand I mean, I've been on both sides of the equation as a lender and then even as on the provider side. So I understand the dynamics, but it was really done in an effort to protect the patient. But the reactions, unfortunately, are causing more decline in what we refer to in healthcare as case acceptance. So you have a lot more, it's we're starting to see more unscheduled treatment in the states where those uh, programs have been instituted. So that's definitely a challenge. I think the other challenge too is that nobody's ever done this. And so, but that's not uncommon for me to tread where nobody else has treaded before. But yeah, so I would say that those are some of the big challenges. So what I've done is I've started writing a lot. I've written actually two books. I wrote the first book I wrote was FinanceRx. It was really skyrocket sales using unique consumer lending strategies. And that was really sort of an overall book, but zeroing in on my area of expertise, which is patient lending and critical needs lending, I've started writing a lot about that to more educate the market. And then the other thing that I've been doing is going to big, well-established companies, talking to them about what I'm doing and having them get behind me to endorse what I'm doing because they understand the relevance and the need for
Yes.
sure.
Hmm. No, well said. Well, and you're on the funder side of the house. I would love for you to talk about, okay, you're looking at your startup through the funder's eyes. What are some of the things that you see as to why you think it's going to be successful?
Well, I think it's funny when you talk about that. The reason that this company will be successful is because there's absolutely a need. So there's no doubt that there's product market fit. There's problem solution fit. We have a pretty robust RevOps plan. We're connected to a lot of big players in the industry that definitely see the need. And what I did, and I would encourage anybody that's starting a business to do this, is you really have to make sure that you have product market fit and you have product solution fit. But the other thing too, Molly, it's a matter of branding yourself. When you are the founder of an organization, you have to brand yourself as the expert in your space so that people come to you and look to you as that person who can answer the questions appropriately. So I've done all that. This business right now, I'm bootstrapping and probably will bootstrap it just for a little while longer based on some big potential opportunities that are forthcoming. Then we'll really start to fundraise. And I've always tell founders, you're always ready with the pitch deck, looking for money, always, right? As the CEO, your biggest job is to never let the company run out of money. And I wish I could say that I've done that 100% in all the companies that I've had, but sometimes things happen that, just happen and, you just have to go with it. But yeah, because I think that those are the reasons that this will be real successful.
Love that. Well, it's a great answer. I love how you went through each of those things too. And I think, on the funding side, what startups have you invested in that you feel like right off out of the gate, you were like, this is going to be a success. I can tell. Like I want to invest in this. I want to be a part of this journey.
No, I mean, the ones that I've pretty much invested in, well, interestingly enough, I've invested in some crypto companies because I think that there's some real opportunity there. I think the market is going to shift, but I think that where I've really spent most of my investment dollars are companies that I have personally started. I mean, I've helped some women based companies too. But longevity, that's where I will probably put a lot of the money out of this venture is into women-led organizations. And that's not to be disparaging against men. I mean, obviously, if something comes along that's incredible, I'm not going to be, that's not going to be the gating item. But 3% of women get funded. Right. So we need, and I've been blessed that I have raised a lot of money. So we need to help other women, get on their feet
Mhm. Yes.
and move forward. Yeah.
I love that. Well, and you're creating that whole network. Can you tell me a little bit more about Her Kingdom Ventures and all the cool things that you're building there?
Yeah. So Her Kingdom Ventures really, I'll kind of take you back a little bit. I was at a Women of Faith conference. I think it was probably, goodness gracious, at least 10 years ago now. And I was sitting in the nosebleed seats, and I really felt the Holy Spirit say to me, I want you to, you should be up there talking. But I didn't know how I would have done it at the time. And God's timing and our timing are two totally different things, right? I mean, they just are. So I went when I started working with Cana, I reached out to Gerald Duran, who is the managing partner of Can Global. And I said, this has been on my heart for a long time, and I just really feel like I need to do this. And he loved the idea,
Had you
really
known
loved
him
the idea.
previously, or was this cold outreach?
I'm sorry. No, no, no. I knew him. I knew
Okay,
him
okay.
already.
I was
Yeah,
gonna
I
say
started
that's pretty
working.
impressive. You're just like,
Yeah,
hey,
no,
I'm doing
I
this
knew him.
thing.
I had because I was participating because I was really participating in startup church and startup clinic and things. So he knew who I was. But and so I had said to him, I really, really feel led to do this. And there's so many women who need a place, a safe place that isn't, we haven't monetized it, right? So, but it wasn't, and that was never, it was more of a give back anyway. But what's really coming out of it, it's just remarkable. There's so many women that are connecting with one another on LinkedIn and I always showcase every single week that we've been doing we've been having when it started out and whenever we did the gatherings every 2 weeks. Now starting in August we're going to go to every week because of the need and just because people can get there when they can get there kind of thing. I mean, we're all business owners, right? And like it's busy, but I always try to showcase a woman and her business without the expense of advertising their businesses, because we all know when you're starting a company it's expensive and just another expense. Even if it's, $30 a month, it's still an expense, right? So I wanted to do something where the women could get together, they could really get to know the businesses that were represented, and then you have really almost all these women around the world who are knowledgeable about your business and willing to help and be a not if it's not only helping you find customers, it's helping you to be a resource. And be a resource for them. Simultaneously, what's really come out of it, it's funny because a lot of times I'll just say, okay, Father, what do you want me to talk about this particular week? And every single time, Molly, it's just it's no coincidence, but um somebody will say to me, you don't know how much I needed this today. This is exactly what I needed. I think that what's really super neat is that the women that are coming together, praying for each other, helping each other, encouraging one another. The friendships that are just being cultivated is just fantastic.
I love the network that you're building. And I feel like too, it's so important to create that space to have those conversations. Because by the time you need to have those conversations, especially around funding or networking or driving revenue, it's almost too late. So
Yeah.
starting now and building out your network. So here's a question that I would ask you is because you've been both founder and funder. If you're just starting out as a startup and you are maybe you're bootstrapping, but you know you're going to need to raise, what would be some of the things that you would tell that person?
The first thing I would say to anybody is go through an incubator. I would say to anybody, go through an incubator because Cana has an incubator. It's called Elevate, and it is incredible. And I would have thought that I was a pretty seasoned CEO, and I went through it, and I just feel like it was kind of like I felt like I went from like seventh grade to almost graduating from MBA school after going through it. And it's a 12-week course, but you learn so much. And I think what I encourage women, anybody that's starting a business to do this, is we were never designed to do this alone. Right. And that does not necessarily mean you have to have a co-founder, because 65% of businesses fall apart because of co-founder disputes. So it isn't about necessarily the co-founder, Molly. What it is it's about having a framework of what is you should be doing and what you shouldn't be doing, because that's, I think, so many businesses fail. Businesses don't businesses don't close, they run out of money. And right, and so I think that I really would, I always encourage women, men, anybody that I'm talking to, especially if they've never done this before or they've never had a major exit, because there's so many things. When we're starting a business, we're doing everything, right? We're the chief cook and bottle washer, and we're not great at everything, and we were never designed to be great at everything. But having sort of an incubator, or for lack of better terms, a tribe to access is critical, because there's going to be decisions that are going to come up. The other thing that I encourage everybody to do is to create a vision statement and a mission statement for yourself, because you will be tested. There's just no way around it. Um, I have been tested in ways that, had I not had that vision, had I not had that mission defined, it might have taken me off track. So I think it's really important to have a mission, a vision defined. The other thing that I always tell founders is make sure you're branding yourself. Make sure people know who you are, and what you're doing. We're in this fast-paced world, and things move so quickly that it's absolutely imperative that we brand ourselves. So the incubator would definitely be something. The other thing too, if you have a partner in life, um, a spouse, I definitely think it's really important to define together what the boundaries are going to be with the business, because you can really put a lot of it's going to put stress on a relationship. A business will put stress on a relationship. So I think it's really important to make sure that you both really know what you're doing, and then really define your own personal values too, to make sure that the business aligns with what you were called to do. So often people get derailed, right? And they end up going off on a tangent. And so it's important. Focus, focus, focus.
Yeah, I love that. That's well said. Thank you. It's very succinct too, which I think is important, as you kind of are branding yourself, can you get it out in a couple sentences what you do? Is it easy to understand for everybody, not just you? A lot of high tech stuff. We have scientists and engineers, and not everyone's going to understand it the way that you do. And so making sure that you put it in the right terminology so that your customer base gets it is important.
Yeah, and landing customers and landing investors are very similar, and it's really funny that a lot of times that I tell people when they're getting their business funded, or trying to get their business funded, investors are in it for an outcome. It, they are not. They don't care really so much a lot of times about Oz and what's behind the curtain. They want to know what you're gonna do to drive volume, to get the results that they want, which is a return. It's common when people are funding their businesses that they try to tell you everything about the business, and it actually hurts you more in those funding conversations.
Right. That's a nugget right there too. So we'll make sure that we clip that one out because that's a really good point. I mean, like you said, it's about the outcome, and the customers are the same way. How are you helping me? I don't actually care about all the other things that are happening in the background. Like, what is the output of this?
Right.
Uh,
Engineers that I've worked with, they're notorious, or tech people, they're
yes.
notorious for, oh, I ask him, I use this analogy all the time. I asked you what time it was. I didn't ask you to tell me how to build a watch, right? And that's not to be, again, that's not to be disrespectful in any way, but it really is true. We really don't care. Investors really don't care about the how it works, right? They just don't. I mean, it's cool for the people internally, but externally, you just want to know, what does the business do? What is it solving? Is there really a problem that you're setting out to solve? how high level are you going to do it? How long is it going to take? How much money do you need?
Mhm.
And
Yes.
when am I going to get my money back?
What am I gonna go? Yeah, there you go. That's exactly right. Well said. Is there anything we have not touched on today that you'd like to share with the audience?
No, I mean, I think that what you guys are doing, is really, really, I think it's really needed. Um, Getting businesses funded, it's not easy, right? 1% of businesses get funded. Um, and if you want to get your business funded, you have to get out of the 99%. You got to do what the 1% do. So I guess that I would say, what I always have said is you're never designed to do this alone. And if you want to be in the 1% of companies that get funded, you've got to do what the 1% do.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I always end with what are you currently reading? So I'd love to ask you that question too.
I actually just picked up, funny you asked me that, of the PEO secrets. Yeah, and that's really that's in the more in the patient lending space.
Okay. I mean, that makes sense because that's what you're building
Yeah,
right now. So, I mean, you're
yeah,
kind of all in that space.
yeah.
I appreciate all of your wisdom, all of your insights. I'm going to link to all the things in the video description like we usually do. And if you want to connect with Nancy, I highly recommend it. She's just tremendous in all different ways, but really a connector and a networker and creating a really robust and helpful, encouraging community. So, especially if you're a female founder, please reach out and get connected because I think it'll be really worth your time. Thank you very much, Nancy, for
Thank
everything that
you,
you
Molly.
shared
It was
with us today.
great to visit with you.
Thank you.